Welcome back to the Bak'n Show. In today's episode, we got a new sponsor, and we're going to go over that today. Here in this 5x5 tent, this is what we're going to be going over in the new episodes. We're going to be going over the 6-site AirCube system by Growace. The AirCube system is a hydroponic or a dirt, whatever you choose to use. I think you got 3 options. You got cocoa, you can use soil, or you can use the hydro pellets. In this grow, we're going to use cocoa. Got the 6 buckets that come in here. This is the reservoir, collapsible reservoir, 25 gallon. And here's the brain controller over here in this box here. We're going to open up each one of the boxes so you can see what's inside of each one. All right, we're going to open each one of these boxes up and see what they have in each one. All right, in this box, we have the liners for each one of the buckets. Open it up so we can take a look at them, see how they are. I believe these are 5-gallon liners. And maybe not 5 gallons. No, that's a little too small to be 5 gallons. But yeah, but these are the liners that come with it. Set these to the side. Here's the grommets, the elbows, and then all the connectors are in this bag here. Here is the hose. I believe this is 3/4 inch hose. Let me check and make sure. 25 foot of tubing. It doesn't say how big, but I'm pretty sure this is 3/4 of an inch. And then we have the buckets. Here we go. And this is what each one of the buckets look like. The AirCube, it's emblem on it. Here's the bottom. It's the opening where the grommet and the water goes in and out of. And this is the brain over here. Open this one up. As you can see, styrofoam. It's from stopping it from moving and getting crushed. I guess for any of the sensitive equipment to go along with it. Oh, it's more tubing inside of here also. And I guess these are the air pumps to go along with them. Yep. Some fittings to go along with that. You get two of the air pumps. We'll hook those up. Like I said, here's some more of the tubing that comes with it. And this is the lid. Got the holes for the tubing to come through. We got an instruction manual. We'll definitely be using that. And more fittings. And here's the system. Here's the timer, the controller, and everything. This is the drain pump. I guess the cord goes here. The fill pump, and those are the 2 the pumps that I just showed you here. That's where they're going there in these 2 spots here. The drain cycle light. We got a switch error light and a fill cycle light. Over here is a fuse. I guess you just screw that in and out as needed. I didn't see an additional fuse to come with it, but I'm sure you can purchase one of those at your local box store if you need it to replace that. Or even with them, I'm pretty sure if it blows out, you can always probably contact customer service and they'll ship you out a new one. But yeah, it's pretty light. It's not a big system. Actually, I'm gonna have this brain controller sitting outside the tent, and I'm just gonna line the buckets right here. The brain controller and the reservoir I'm gonna leave on this side of the tent over here, because I got some space over here to set this up outside of here. Now let's open up the last box, and that is the reservoir. Everything is well packed. Thinking not had to worry about anything being damaged in shipping, unless the shipping company drops something big on these. But they're well packed. And like this reservoir here, this is all rubber, is collapsible. Even if you put something on top of here, I don't believe you could damage it unless you damage some of these fittings here, the plastic fittings. and I believe these are the legs to hold the system up. But yeah, oh, we got a couple more things in here. These are the fittings for the reservoir, grommet for the outside. And this is something that they say you keep an eye on, making sure you got both the washers in here, because some of the other growers that I've seen using this system had their system come and it didn't have both of the washers, so they had a leak from this system. But I see it looks like we have both washers in here, so we should be good to go. And also some plumber's tape, and I guess these are the rest of the fittings and the tools to tighten this system here up. Well, let me read over the instructions right quick and let's start putting this together. All right, we're back. The first thing we're going to do, we're going to put the reservoir together. The instructions comes to put the reservoir together. It's a 25-gallon reservoir. I did just look at them, and for each one of the sites, like with the 6 site, you get a 25-gallon reservoir, which you see here. With the 12 site, you get a 60-gallon reservoir, and with the 24 and the 36 site, you get a 105-gallon reservoir. Now, you'll see this little sheet here. This comes in here, just giving you a picture and just letting you know to remove this foam, these rubber pieces that are around your connectors here. So that's what this sheet is. Just take these 3 here off. This is just for packing and shipping, so they don't get damaged. The next thing, we have the actual instruction guide to put together the active AirCube system, reservoir, excuse me. Pretty simple instructional guide, step by step on what to do. First thing, we got to open up the bag, the reservoir itself, and connect the flexible reservoir water connector. All right, let's start there. Got a zipper top. And that's pretty much what she looks like. It's about a foot, about a yard tall, oh, 36 inches, maybe a little shorter than that. But it's a decent size, and it's going to sit right back here on the other side of the tent, on the back side over here, along with the brain. And these are the pieces that come in here. This is one of the connectors, along with your shut-off valve. And then this piece here, which is one side goes in the reservoir and one is on the outside of the reservoir. And it has washers that goes on both sides. Step 1, we're connecting here in this hole here where the arrow's pointing. Here's the fittings. That's this and this. We're going to connect those first here, and then we'll connect this next. So this piece here goes in. Make sure your washer's there, it's very important. Then you take the washer on the outside, you slide that right on top. Sure it's already nice and seated flat. Then you take the nut, that just turns right down on top of that. Got it nice and snug, hand tight. You see, push outlet tap through the flexible reservoir, fitting the rubber washer as shown in figure A. Fit the tab upside down, tightening as tight as you can by hand. So yes, this is all hand tight here. I think I got it running nice and snug. Let's go to step 2. Now step 2 says, let me show you that. That's where this piece comes in. And that's the legs. Put the reservoir together. It says fitting connectors. Fit the connector to 6 of the supporting poles. Ensure poles is fully inserted into connectors by exerting pressure from above. So that's this, is it in the figure here, somebody's hand. Here's one of the poles, and let me show you the connector. We pull them out the bag real quick, and I'll show you how that goes. And here's the connectors, and here are your poles. You get 6 of these poles. There's 3 here in this bundle. That's another bundle of 3 here. So what they mean by that, using your hand and put the pressure, you just put this over top of it like such, put it down on the floor, and take your hand and just push down and make sure it drops all the way down. So that's one. Let's do the other 2, same way. And you'll feel it when you hit the bottom of the pole. Just like that. So we got all 3 of those done. All right, step 3. In step 3, you have to run your pole down through the holes that are here. There's 3 of them up here. 1, 2, and there's another one here on the back. I put this one down here in that slot that I just showed you. Run this pole down through this hole, and you actually do it in the opposite order I just did that in. And as you slide that in, it connects. And we do that in all 3 holes around here. So let's do that real fast. And I did do this a little out of order here. After you do each pole, you should have added the nut to it then. That would have given it stability so it wouldn't keep collapsing on it. That's nice and tight. And do the same thing. So the next one, like I said, after you do each pole, you should put the nut on the top, and that will give it stability so the pole, the reservoir doesn't keep collapsing on you as you work around it. The instructions that come with this is pretty good, pretty simple. Makes it real easy to put this thing together. All right, in step 4, which is here, and that's what we have completed here. All the poles in, the nuts on top, it's fully supported. Step 5 is when we add these pieces here for the water drainage, and that will be located right here. So let's do that part now. And then connect it, the threads just fit. This is the male piece, this is the female piece. Just righty-tighty or lefty-loosey. And you want your fitting, your on and off valve should be facing downward. As such. Let me make sure here. Yes. It should be facing downward, not upward like here in the diagram. This is yes, no. So you see to connect the on and off switches up top, no. On and off switch on the bottom, yes. So that's how we have it set up right now. Nice and snug, on and off switch at the bottom, and it's in an off position. Now we're saying fill the reservoir with half fill the reservoir. So let's do that next. But in order to do that, I'm gonna have to now set this up on the outside over here in the corner where it's going to be located for the future. So I'm gonna take this, set this up over here, and the brain controller is gonna be on the floor right in front of me. So let's do that now. Let's get some water. As you can see, I was filling up the reservoir as it said to do, fill it up halfway. And as I was filling it up, I started getting a leak from the fitting here. Then I realized that that's probably why they sent this along with it. That's plumber's tape. And I was wondering why I put both washers on there and had it nice and snug, like I said, hand tight. And I still was wondering why it was leaking. And then I looked down on the floor and I seen this here, and I said, you know what? There's only a small drip coming from this. So this is probably what's needed to stop that. So for everybody else that has this system or purchased this system, and and you see this plumber's tape in there, when you're putting the fitting for the reservoir together, make sure you use the plumber's tape first. All right, we corrected our issue, at least we hope we did. But what I noticed, what I realized I did wrong, is I should have put this on first, then put the connector here for this together. Then when you tighten this nut up with the nut that's in the inside of here, that's when you can direct this which way you want it. Once this get completely snug, what I realized once I put this together and then I tried to put this in, and when I got it completely snug, it was facing upward. So what I needed was to just loosen this back up, turn this downward, tighten this nut back up, and also, like I said, you see me do that, add this plumber's tape. But yeah, that was the correction to that. That was my fault in reading the directions. The directions don't necessarily, it doesn't say to use the plumber's tape at all. And it doesn't really say in order of putting this together, the spigot to the reservoir. But that's okay. I mean, you just put it together, you'll figure it out. It was pretty simple. Okay, we have the reservoir set up, and we had the little leak coming from the spigot down here. Even though I made the adjustments that I made, I still have a small leak down here. So I put this little tray up under it just to catch the little bit of water that is only dripping maybe one drop every 30 seconds or something like that. So it's not a major thing for right now. But the next time I have to fill the reservoir, I think I might be making a little adjustments to this here. So, but for right now, let's just keep it rocking and rolling. So next is to put the brain controller right here in front of here, and that's what I'll be doing next. It says step 1 in setup of the reservoir. Place the AirCube advanced brain controller in front of the reservoir with the timer facing away from the reservoir. So let's do that. And I still have my water hose hooked up here so I can finish filling it up. You know, you see it start off by filling it up halfway. If it's in the way, I'll move it. So we have that here. I don't know how close we need to have it. Let's go to the next. Measure and cut tubing to reach from the top of the AirCube advanced brain controller to the bottom of the inside of the reservoir. So let's get that. All right, I have my tubing and I have a pair of scissors. And it says stick the tubing all the way down into the bottom of the reservoir. Let's take that, reach it till I drop to the bottom. And I'm on the bottom there. And it says run it to the top of the brain controller. Measure and cut tubing to reach from the top of the AirCube advanced brain controller to the bottom of the inside of the reservoir. So that's pretty much about right here. And if I need to make any adjustments, I'll do it from there. It's better to be a little long than to be a little short, because you can always cut a little bit more off if you need to. So next, assign one of the water pumps as a fill pump and place it at the bottom of the reservoir. Connect one end of the tubing to the fill pump. So let's do that. Now this is the pump. It comes with 2 of these, and this one here will sit at the bottom of the reservoir. Now let me check, it has the hose here for the little rubber shoes that go to it. Let me see if I can see that. You get these 4 little rubber suction cups that go right on the bottom of this, and that'll keep it secure to the bottom of your reservoir without moving around and flipping over. Now it shouldn't do that unless you're in there messing with the hose. But this, even if you're moving it around just a little bit, as long as this is secured to the bottom of the reservoir, it won't move. All you do is just slide them in just like that into the slots. And I'm just going to push this right down to the bottom. It has a nice long cord to come up out of the reservoir. Yeah, it fits perfectly. And it's up, as soon as it touched the bottom, it stuck to it. Okay, the next step. Use the tubing puncture tool to make a small hole in the tubing that is inside the reservoir. Puncture in the tubing near the highest point of the tubing where the tubing enters the reservoir. And that means with this here is a relief valve. If you've ever done this in the past or something similar to this, you put the fitting on the top of the pump. And connecting the tubing all the way down to it like that. And as I was saying, as you put this back down, stuck right to it. I'll bring this back up, out, and the vent hole will be right up here at the very top, maybe about 3 inches down from the top of the reservoir itself. You puncture the hole there. So once the pump is running, the water is going to be coming through there. But once the pump shuts off, if you don't have a relief valve in here, which this is, air will, once it shuts off, the air will go up in there and it will cut off the flow of water. If you don't have an air relief valve like that in there, it won't cut off the flow and the water will continuously run to your plants and then overflood your tent. And I have other reservoirs and watering systems that I've used in the past, and trust me, I've flooded my basement a few times. So that's what that's for. So let's get the tool, and puncture this hole. This is your tool here, your hole punch, and this is the relief valve. Oops, I'm losing my glasses. Put this here, right here. It's a little L. Once you puncture the hole in there into the tube, you just stick this in with the L facing downward like that, and that's going to be your air relief valve. So let's do that next. Again, all you got to do is come down about 3 inches, 2 to 3 inches from the top of your reservoir, because you're not going to fill it all the way up. Yeah, the 25-gallon line is pretty much right around there. So you want to make sure you're always above the water line. And you put this tubing on. Got that on. Alright, insert the vacuum brake bar elbow into the hole with the valve facing downward towards the reservoir to prevent water from siphoning. And that's what we just did there. Now plug the fill pump into the outlet on the side of the AirCube advanced brain controller labeled fill pump. That's over here on the side here. So that's plugging this power cord into the brain controller up here into the slot that says fill pump. The fill pump is the top outlet. So step 2, set up the Air Advanced Brain Controller. There are 2 upper water level float valves that are on an adjustable mount so the water level can be adjusted. Adjust the float valve to preferred level, ensuring that the float valve does not exceed the height of the top of any bucket. Ensure the float valves are pointed in the downward direction as shown in the photo. And as you can see, as we got it popped up on the screen, what they're talking about here. There in that diagram. So what they mean is when you adjust the float valve, take the top off here. Here's the float valves here. They adjust by moving them up and down this rod. By just pushing them like that and adjust them to where you want them. Now in this case here, I was just showing you how they do adjust. What they mean by having them so they're not above the height of the your buckets is because when you filling up the buckets, you're not trying to fill them up to the very top of the bucket, the cube. Sorry about that. I'm trying to get the rods back down in its holes. So you just adjust it up to about the height that you want the water to get in a bucket. Let me grab a bucket and I kind of show you what they're talking about. Here's one of the buckets. Now, what they mean by that, those float valves, when this is sitting on the floor, the float valves shouldn't be above the height of this bucket. Because if it is, then the water is going to fill until the float valves are triggered. If the float valves are higher than the bucket, then it's going to fill up this bucket and you're going to have spillage all over the inside of your tent. So the float valve should be adjusted somewhere halfway on your bucket here. So if you sit your bucket next to the brain controller like this, and then just adjust your float valves by holding these 2 rods down, pulling it up to about the height you want it to go. And then once we set this up in the inside, I'm pretty sure we're going to get a test run and we can see that how high the water line gets inside of these buckets. I'm sure they're going to show us that. I just kind of see that's what they're talking about with that there. So if you just kind of leave these halfway for right now, I'm sure once we get to the next step and put the buckets inside your tent, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, we're back. I couldn't leave it the way I had it, where it was doing that little leaking. I knew it was a problem with something that I created. So what I did, I took it off. I took the plumber's tape and wrapped it thoroughly on both sides here. Then I reinserted it, tightened it all the way up, refilled the reservoir, like I said, up halfway, and I let it sit. And it's been sitting like this for at least maybe an hour or 2 now, and it hasn't dripped at all. So I think I corrected the problem that I created. Just remember, the red handle has to be facing downward. And I'm sure as we put this together a little further, it'll be a reasoning why. So let's go to the next step. All right, we're back. We took care of the float valves and they have been adjusted for just for right now. Next thing is to add insert grommets into the 6 holes on the bottom of the AirCube Advanced Brain Controller. Here's the brain controller. Here's the 6 grommets that they're referring to. Let me put these down inside here. I'll keep one in my hand, and I'm going to pick up the box so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. We have 3 holes on this side and 3 holes on this side. The grommets fit. You'll see one side is a little narrower than the other side. You just put the narrow side in and just kind of screw it, push it, put a little force behind it, holding the bucket, and you should be able to just pop them right in. I'm just twisting it until I feel it catch, like that, and I think I got a perfect seal. And I don't recommend using the reservoir to lean on, but since I'm in this little corner here, I'm using it. But it seems sturdy enough to hold it but try using something else first. All right, so we got all 6 of them in. You can see it from the inside. I'll show you. So we'll sit this back down and we'll go to the next step. Next step, insert 2 straight connectors into the front 2 grommets on the bottom of the AirCube Advanced Brain Controller. Okay, so they must be talking about 1 on each side. Let me see. Insert 4 stoppers into the rear 4 grommets. These can be removed and added additional AirCube oxygen grow bucket. This is when you're adding, if you're adding more buckets, going to the 6 site and so on and so forth. I guess that's when you use the other ones. But for these 6 site, you only need 1 on each side. And let me show you what those look like. Okay, these are the straight connectors. Show you what those look like. And these are the stoppers. See, those are shaped different. They got to close in on this one. All right, we're finished. Had the straight ones here, the straight valves here, and the stoppers here. 1 on this side, the 2 stoppers on this side. Same thing on the other side. The flow all the way through here, 2 stoppers here. Let's go to the next step. All right, the next step, we need the lid to do the next step. It says insert grommet, which I have here in my hand, into the left side hole of the AirCube Advanced Brain Controller lid. And I have the lid here. So let's put the lid on. I'm assuming the lid goes like this, with the hose to the back. Cords go there. All right. And they said the left side. So that would be this side over here. You take the rubber grommet, just like we did on the side, stick it in the hole, and massage it in without forcing it too much so it doesn't pop all the way through. So you just spin it a little bit and it eventually catches and sits snugly and flat. All right, the next step. Insert a straight connector into the grommet on the left side hole of the AirCube Advanced Brain Controller lid. So again, this is the straight one. The one got the hole that goes all the way through. And we're just going to insert that in. Just massage it in all the way till it's seated firmly against the rubber grommet. Now let's go to the next step. All right, we're off to the next step. The next step, it says, place 1 water pump, drain pump, on the inside bottom of the AirCube Advanced Brain Controller. Here's the pump. I already went here and put the rubber suction cups on the bottom of the pump. And I already put the 3/4 inch fitting that goes right on the top of the pump on it. It says put this inside of the brain controller. The brain controller is here. I'll put it right down here. Then the next step, it says measure and cut tubing to reach from the bottom of the reservoir of the drain pump, which is here. Place one end of the tubing inside the reservoir. Stick the other end of the tubing through the empty right side hole on top of the AirCube Advanced Brain Controller and connect it to the drain pump. Here we still have the empty hole here. The other one we already got a fitting on. I already took the liberty of cutting the hose and I'm running that through that hole down to the bottom of this. Next step is plug drain pump into the outlet on the inside of the AirCube Advanced Brain Controller, labeled drain pump. And that will be this new cord that we have here that we just pulled out, and we put this one
And the other outlet here, down here at the bottom, is labeled drain pump. That's the bottom one. All right, we have that plugged in.
All right, next step. It says here, plug the tubing connected to the fill pump in step 1 into the straight connector on the left side hole on the top of the AirCube Advanced Brain Controller lid. And that's this one here. And this is the other holes here that we had already did in step 1.
I have that firmly pushed all the way down. Nice, clean connection.
Next step. Step 3. We got to set up the buckets now. Let's do that next.